If you are struggling in the early game in Bannerlord, then this video is for you. I have compiled 5 essential tips and tricks for you to jumpstart your adventure and dominate the early game. Let's get into it. For the first tip, when you are building your character, you want to ask yourself the following 2 questions and plan your build accordingly. Which kingdom am I going to be a vassal of, and where am I going to start the kingdom? The reason is settlement loyalty. To put it simply, if a fief is of a different culture, then you lose 3 loyalty a day, which could cause rebellions and your settlements not paying taxes and refusing to build construction projects. The second question is, am I going to play as infantry, archer, or cavalry? And what type of troop am I going to captain? See, every culture has a special type of troop, and you want to make sure the character specializations align with those troops based on which type you are wanting to captain. For instance, Battanians are exceptional archers, whereas the Valandians have a very good cavalry. I've compiled a sheet to make this easy for you with each culture and their special unit and a few extra information, so check it out in the description. Also, each skill will unlock perks that really benefit each type of troop as you level up, which we will talk about later on, so stick around. On to the second tip. This one is about the first thing you want to do as soon as you land in Calradia. Make money. Now, when you spawn in Calradia, you will spawn next to the training field. What's special about this location is the abundance of villages specialized in sheep and hog, and you can tell what the village specializes in based on the icon next to its name. How does this benefit us? Well, we are going to be livestock traders. There are 2 ways. You either buy all the sheep and hogs and sell them in a nearby town, Ametitis in this instance, so you get a good price. But be careful of herding, as bandits will try to catch you and take you prisoner and steal all your goods, and herding slows you down a lot. The second way is pretty similar, and what you want to do is slaughter all the livestock and sell the hides and meat in a nearby town. Again, Ametitis is perfect for this. However, once you slaughter livestock, you'll be encumbered and be slowed down, so be careful of bandits again. For my third tip, early game recruitment is a bit tricky, mainly because of party wages. Now, if you followed my second tip, then you'll be ahead here, but be careful, as getting a big party and not being able to pay wages will lead to low morale and desertion. There are 2 ways to go about this. You either get a tiny party of 5 to 9 troops that you constantly upgrade all the way to max tier, or you get a bigger party of around 15 troops that you don't upgrade beyond tier 3. I would go for archers here, as they can pack a punch and are relatively safe in the early game due to the range advantage over bandit groups. If you do this, the party wages won't be huge and you won't struggle with keeping up with it. But you can always adjust the size based on your income. As for my fourth advice, your main objective in the early game is getting to clan tier 1. There are a few ways to achieve that, and they also happen to be great money makers for the early game as well. First off, fighting bandits. Fighting bandits is the main method to level up your clan tier and make gold. This is because you get renown from defeating them, as well as loot that you can sell for gold in nearby towns. Secondly, participating in tournaments. Tournaments are a great way to gain good renown and gold, especially if you get the self-promoter perk, which is the first perk in the charm scale, as it grants you 3 extra renown per tournament one, so that way you get 6 instead of 3. However, this would require you to put a skill point in charm, so don't forget that. Doing quests is the third way to get renown and gold here, and I have compiled a list of quests with their difficulty level and which ones to do and which ones to avoid. So remember that sheet I told you about earlier? Yeah, go find it in the description. Before we move on to the 5th and last tip, if you're finding this information valuable, then like the video and maybe subscribe. It helps me immensely. For my 5th and final tip for today, if you've decided to go for the self-promoter perk, then you are on the right track. Early game levels are essential to shape your mid and late game, so you should pick where to spend your attribute and skill points carefully. This is especially important since this will pretty much shape the rest of your playthrough. In my opinion, invest in stewardship first, as it is the main factor in your party size apart from clan tier. Once you max it, focus on the skill that aligns with your fighting styles, and those are the ones highlighted here. I tend to max the bow skill first, but that's just me, so you pick yours according to your playstyle. Thank you very much for watching this video. This has been Host, and I'll see you next time.